our lifetime value more than doubled once we started implementing retention values. And especially now, like the longer we go, the longer our patients stay with us. And so we've got patients that are coming in weekly and they've been here for 10 years.
Welcome to ChiroX, where we talk business growth for, well, chiropractors. That result, a lifetime value that more than doubled, is what every clinic owner dreams of, but few achieve. For the most part, the problem isn't getting new patients, it's keeping them. Today, we're joined by Dr. Tabor Smith, who owns multiple successful practices and is the founder of the Spinal Hygiene Movement. He's here to reveal his exact blueprint for solving the retention problem, using a strategy borrowed from an unexpected place, the dental profession. We'll dive into the systems he uses to turn new patients into lifetime patients, why patient retention is the ultimate retention tool, and how to build a practice that is so stable it can weather any storm. Let's dive in.
Conversion and new patient conversion gets all the attention because it's kind of the fire that always, attracts the business owner. And if you don't have that, I mean, that's obviously an important part of a business too. So we're always trying to get more new patients, increase our conversion rates. But the retention part is like the foundation, the contractor that you're building. You want that building to be structurally sound. To build a strong long-term practice, it's the retention part. Any chiropractor will tell you that's important too. It's just they're focused on, and here's where I think, let's back up like a bigger picture for chiropractic. Why chiropractors don't have the retention that dentists do is because we are trying to solve a different problem than I think we should be, and a different problem than dentistry is. Meaning, we're trying to solve the toothache. And if all dentistry did was focus on the toothache, they wouldn't have very good retention either. Dentistry has built, and yes, they're good for toothaches, and they're going to probably get a lot of emergency calls with people who have toothaches and having to come in. I get it. But they've built their education systems around preventing decay of the teeth, right? And so you want to prevent tooth decay, you want to prevent gingivitis, you want your teeth to last longer, you need to have a dentist on your health team, and you need to be doing certain things every day at home. It's your responsibility to do these things, and how well you do them determines how healthy your teeth will be and how long you get to keep them and all those things. And because they've built that picture in the public's mind, like parents do their job for them now. I tell my kids they have to brush their teeth every night. I say, look, we have a dental checkup, next week. Get ready for that. So parents dentists have done such a great job. That started out of a necessity back in the early 1900s, actually. The late 1800s, early 1900s was when industrialization came into play, and we started eating a lot more sugar in our diet. So dentists were pulling teeth, they were really taking care of the toothache, but they started pulling like teeth as young people and teenagers, and nobody had teeth left anymore because sugar increased cavities and all those things. That's when actually dentistry started to develop this program to reach people, to develop dental hygiene. Dr. Alfred Phones was actually the father of dental hygiene in the early 1900s. He was the one that actually, I think, grew the dental profession into what it is today, the second largest healthcare profession in the world, because they've done such a good job of educating why you should stay under lifetime care. And that's what we're trying to do with the Spinal Hygiene Movement, is the same concepts. Instead of solving the problem of the backache, which, yes, we solve a lot of those problems. People are going to call us with backaches. We want to actually reframe that and educate people through the system and get them thinking more of preventing degenerative disc disease, which I think is actually happening right now. A parallel story from the early 1900s is happening right now because of technology. People in front of cell phones and computers all the time, we're starting to see degenerative disc disease at younger and younger ages. So now's the time, if you really want to boost retention, start teaching that. Like if you want to prevent spinal decay, you've got to start taking care of that spine long term, whether you have pain or not.
Imagine if we started telling people that if we don't take care of our spine, we're going to start like pulling vertebrae. You know what I mean? Like kind of like a dentist, where it's like, if you don't take care of your teeth, we're going to have to start pulling them, or you're going to get a root canal. Imagine if we use that same education with like chiropractic patients.
And really, we can. I mean, if you don't take care of that spine, you're going to have disc replacements, you're going to have fusion surgeries, which are happening. And you can look at the statistics at younger ages now at higher rates, because spinal degeneration is happening at younger ages and spinal rates. increased rates.
So, how do you feel like that's been receptive for your patients and also helped with retention? And the reason I ask this question is because, like, a common nomenclature is sell painkillers, not vitamins, because generally speaking, they're easier to sell. And I'm with you though, right? I think that I'm on your side of the camp of prevention and like taking care of my mouth and my spine and all those things. But like, maybe does a patient receive that very well? I'm just curious.
Yes, you're going to see in your office that the people that get it. And the people that don't. And I think you see that in dentistry too. Not everybody goes to the dentist regularly for cleanings like they should. Some people do wait until their teeth are literally falling out of their head until they call the dentist, and the dentist has to do $20,000 worth of care at the time. So not everybody understands how important it is to take care of their teeth, and how not everybody brushes every day, flosses every day. But the people who do, they do. And they're the diehards. They're the dentist's ideal patients. That I have a dentist right next door to my office, and she'll tell you her ideal patient is not the person that calls her out of an emergency and wants everything for free. Her ideal patient is the family that comes in on a regular basis. And when they do have a flare up or an emergency, she takes care of them right away because she's building a family practice. You know what I mean? You'll see that in spinal health as well as you educate them. In TRP, which you're familiar with, the remarkable practice, right? We always say if you want to build retention, you got to take your believers and turn them into understanders. So when they first come in and they're in pain and you present your care plan, they believe that you can help them, they'll start care. But if you have a structured educational system in place teaching these concepts we're talking about right now, you're going to take them from just believing you can help them to understanding how you can help them, why they need your help, why they need to take responsibility for their spine. And that understander is going to become that lifetime patient. There'll be a few people that fall off, they just don't get it, they just don't understand. But over time, you'll grow those understanders, and that practice will get stronger and stronger and stronger.
I actually just recently had a call with another chiropractic business owner who's definitely in the seven-figure range. He's doing really successful, and one of the things that we dug into was what does retention look like? Because ultimately, he was looking for how do I increase new patients? How do I get more patients into the clinic? And kind of based on what you're describing in this conversation, in terms of having a retention plan and educating patients from the forefront of like this is the way that we're going, just to make sure you're attracting the right people into the clinic. What would you maybe say to this doctor that's like, okay, they've been practicing for 20 years, they have a quote unquote successful practice, they're really leaning on getting new patients, but they're really not taking advantage of getting retention? What would you maybe tell them, or what would you coach them on to maybe get them to shift gears with their own framing and also their patients as well?
So I don't know if I mentioned this, but so I have 4 practices, and so I understand how much work that doc and a lot of the $1 million practice. One of our offices is 1 million. The other, we have 2 that are close, and we have one that ranges about 250 probably. And so you work really hard because you're trying to get to that million, and every new patient you convert really makes your revenue bounce higher per month, right? So that gets so much attention, like we just talked about, and it's hard work on that front end. And you don't realize it because you're working so hard on that front end. You're so hard to boost that revenue every month because you're seeing that $1 million mark, that you don't realize if you had this automated system set up, you wouldn't even have to really bother with it that much once it's set up. But the problem is you work so hard every month. I'm seeing it 100 times, man, that these $1 million clinics will be less than 100 grand in a year, but they just drop fast if you don't keep those new patients coming in. And the whole time you would have looked back and realized, dude, if I would have just set up this automated system, whether it's emails, texts, education that patient gets every time they come in, and it can be literally plug and play for the most part. You might have to train your team a little bit on it, but like we have an automated system that just goes out as soon as that new patient starts. We know how many emails they're getting for the first 3 weeks, and we know how many they're getting for the rest of the year. We have topics laid out that are built all around retention, their responsibility, why they need the care. And so, yeah, I do workshops and things to like our Better Results Faster workshop that I think really boosts our retention, and it's taking my time. But there are probably just as much or more things that I never touch that is a system that's completely built in. So to answer your question, for that individual, I'd be like, hey, just plug these systems in and just watch. When you get tired of hustling your butt off on that front end, you'll look and you'll go, wow, look how stable this practice is. It might come down just a little bit because I'm not having as many new patients every month, but it's stable because we have this base that is strong, and they refer, and I've absolutely seen that can be built.
Just so the audience is clear, the systems that you're talking about, they're more or less educating the patients on the benefits of spinal hygiene and wellness, and just basically kind of getting a mindset shift with their patients, going from just like pain relief to wellness. Is that correct?
Correct. And they are, so I'll just kind of tell you what our automated system is and how we built it up. When they start care, we're going to take them through what I call a 21-day spinal hygiene challenge, because it takes 21 days to build a habit. And I want them to build the most important habit, health habit, which is to take care of your spine. So I'm going to challenge them for 21 days in a row. Just do these exercises like I tell you to, and make your visits like we scheduled, right? And then look at the huge difference. So that's training them and ingraining them that they should be doing something every day. I tell them, if your teeth are important enough to do something for them every day, that your spine absolutely is important enough to do something every day for, right? So we get them in that habit for 21 days. After that 21-day mark, then they're getting an email drip every week. And every month we have a different health topic, but I make sure that every email is, okay, so let's say next month is, I think is our Raising Healthy Kids month, or it might be our neck pain month. I can't remember. But 12 months, there's different topics. Let's say it's neck pain month. They're going to get educated about neck pain and why chiropractic can help them, but half of that email is going to be about the importance of maintaining it after it's corrected, right? So they might even forward that email to a friend they know has neck pain, or it might even, sometimes people drop out of care. I get it, but they're still going to get those emails, and that email might be a reactivation link that somebody gets, and they see, oh, that's right, neck pain, I should be taking care of that. I'll come back in. But I know that they're getting that automatedly through email. And then every once in a while, we'll send out a text blast as well. And we have it programmed to where if you haven't been in our office in 3 months, then you're on this text email automation as well.
As somebody that runs multiple clinics and locations, is this still the same plug and play system within each location? You're just like maybe changing like where the location and who the people are that's getting it?
The only thing we're changing is the sign.
Okay.
At the bottom where it says, instead of A Better Way Cypress, it says A Better Way Memorial City. And then it says Dr. Brittany Terrell instead of Dr. Tabor Smith, like whoever's running that office. We literally have the exact same automated system going through. We just changed the sign.
What was the transformational moment for this for you? Like, when did you discover this? And like, what did that transition go from what I'm assuming was like feast and famine to ultimately having a more sustainable business? Like, what did that transition phase look like for you?
Man, I've been through so many just trial and error, ups and downs, and trying, like I've tried to have multiple locations more than once. In fact, we would open an office, it didn't work, so we went back. I swore I would never do it again, and then we tried. Finally, I got my systems down in my main office. But I think what really hits home for me about retention and reminds me of how important it is when I see testimonials, just amazing testimonials. Like one lady got off, she was taking 300 milligrams of Lyrica every day, right? And she got completely 100% off of it, did video testimonials with me, written testimonials, and I try to put together a book, right? I'm trying to self-publish a book for my patients. So I'm gathering all these testimonials, and I'm like, Cheryl, yeah, that's an amazing testimonial. I'm like, where the heck is Cheryl? Like, she's gone. She hasn't been in my office in a couple of years now. And I go, look, and she's back on Lyrica and had like multiple like toe amputations from neuropathy and stuff like that. And I'm going, I work so hard telling them I can help them, and I help them, but I don't work as hard telling them it's not just going to stay that way for the rest of your life if you don't maintain it. Right. And it's not that chiropractic doesn't work. It's that look at exercise. An athletic trainer wouldn't tell you, I'll train you for 3 months and then you never have to do anything again to maintain it. Right. So that's my fault. I was really dropping the ball, doing a service to them, telling them just because you're off the Lyrica now doesn't mean you're just going to be able to stay off it the rest of your life. Like, you have to maintain this somehow.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. And I think a lot of it too is probably rooted in just the aspect of education and having good education programs ultimately for your patients.
And I get it. It's hard because like not chiropractors come across. They kind of say like people don't want to be educated. You know what I mean? Like they just wanted a quick adjustment and they want to go on a time. I'm like, some of them, yeah, but I've noticed you get in front of them enough and they feel your intent. Like I do that better results faster workshop every week. You have to come to it if you sign up as a patient, right? And you'll have that guy that's like, why do I have to be here? But halfway through, man, they're smiling, they're laughing at you at the end, they're shaking your hand. Thanks, brother. You know what I mean? And it builds that relationship, I think, and even that makes retention better, you know?
Do you think there's a game to be played of give people what they want in order to get them what they need? You know what I mean? Like, is it like get them in for the initial eval and adjustment and get them feeling better and then really give them the meat and potatoes?
There has to be a little bit. I think like our ads, of course, we use an ad company that runs, but it's like I think those ads probably have to focus a little bit more on that person's pain. If I have actually tried to just do a lot of posts about prevention and prevent degenerative disc disease, and they get like some action, as far as like people interested, but I just don't think that I think that the pain works on that front end, but the education works on the back end.
I don't know if you nerd out on your numbers at all, but I'd be curious. Do you have any insights as to like how your LTV, your lifetime value of a patient, shifted for you in terms of like when you were doing more just the adjustments and the traditional chiropractic to shifting to spinal hygiene?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, our lifetime value more than doubled once we started implementing retention values. And like, especially now, like the longer we go, the longer our patients stay with us. And so we've got patients that are coming in weekly and they've been here for 10 years, So the auto debit from most of our offices covers all of our overhead now. You know what I mean? Because they're just, here's my card. I'm coming in every week, charge it every month. You know what I mean? We don't even have to talk financials with them anymore.
What would you say to a chiropractor? Because I'm just thinking about the audience right now, and I'm thinking there's probably a handful of doctors that are out there thinking to themselves of like, we just want to get them in and out as quickly as possible, and we want to do as few visits as possible. We don't want to waste their time. We don't want to feel like we're taking advantage of them. Like, what would maybe be your response to somebody like this? Because like I can already hear a chiropractor thinking this to themselves because I've had conversations like this before, right? I've had conversations with doctors where they're just like, no, we're not that kind of practice. We're just kind of like we get them in and get them out kind of situation. Like, what would you say to them?
Now, I think preventing degenerative disc disease is a service that you would have to want to provide. Like that individual doesn't provide that service in their office, which is their prerogative if that's what they want. But you're just not providing a service to that person in front of you. I use Tapio Vitamin's study. It came out. It was the landmark study for this type of research, came out in the early 80s, and they showed that when you fixate a joint or you get the joint stops moving, immobilization, right? It within 2 weeks it builds adhesions, and then those adhesions are what turns into calcifications, bone spurs, and that starts the degenerative process in just 2 weeks. So that's why I don't, for my office, we don't promote once a month wellness, which I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but those studies show clearly that within 2 weeks, if a joint is not moving properly, it can start the degenerative process. And I want to provide that service to where I want to be able to find that, detect that, and correct that before it starts that decay. And so if you're coming in every week, great. That would be my ideal recommendation. If you're coming in every other week, at least we're preventing the breakdown of any type of issue that we find that's happening.
So I know you've had a bit of an experience of growing too quickly and some of the pitfalls that's come with that. If you're open to it, would you be willing to share that story and some of the lessons learned along the way?
I am the type of personality that has this like, I have a drive, I guess is a good thing, but sometimes it's not a good thing whenever it gets out of control. That's why my wife is my wife, because she like keeps me level and balanced. And so I thought, man, we got two clinics and they're doing great. Let's just keep rolling. And so we bought like almost two more clinics at the same time, and didn't realize the importance of stabilization. And I should have realized that as a person who really values retention now, I should have realized how important stabilization is before growth. And I think that's why that, I'm not saying that this individual you were talking about earlier is this exact model, but I'm saying like the person who quickly gets to that $1 million, they're hustling so hard on that front end, they don't realize how fragile that practice is. I mean, it literally within months can go to like almost nothing. And the problem is you get there and you have a few months of like $100,000 months. You're like, oh, let's go. Let's finance all this equipment. You know what I mean? We're rolling. We're $1 million practice. We've been at $100,000 for 2 months now. And then you got those months where it's like, oh, what happened? That ad's not working anymore, or somebody leaves, your doctor leaves, like something could happen and you're not stable at all. And I felt that. And then we felt that when we took on those other two clinics. And when you sign your name on some of those loans, like I've learned a lot that way too. Like we won't get into that jargon, but there are ways to protect yourself and make sure you're talking with a lawyer, make sure you're talking to people who know what they're doing before you sign those things, because you get a personal guarantee in there, and you might have $1 million clinic or $2 million clinics, but you signed your name to some of those loans. And if those other offices, they can bring down your entire empire. That stuff can happen fast. So again, I think that just kind of reiterates what we're talking about here, why it's so important to have that stable system and build that strong practice with those lifetimers, those educated patients, because you'll have less of those types of growing pains.
And now that you have built the practice to something that feels more steady and sustainable and more like a bedrock of consistent patients and families ultimately that are coming in and getting spinal hygiene, has that shifted your framework in terms of how you maybe approach getting new patients? Or what does like the new patient front look like for you guys now that you have such good retention?
Yeah, sure. It's certainly shifted our day one, day two process, because we want to make sure we're loading that even on day one, that we're, what we're looking for, what we're about. But then I think it's shaped our content, and our content has shaped the new patients that come in. Does that make sense? So we're trying to get as much education we can, not just to our current patients. I'm trying to get this stuff out to my community. And so we're trying to create as many videos as we can, trying to actually post a video a day if we can. I've used some different designers to try to create even some different flyers and images and workshops, and whatever value, what is it? Whatever avenue I can take, I'll use to get that information out to my community. And I feel like sometimes that content is your marketing. Does that make sense? And people appreciate the conversation about degeneration, because I'll tell them, I'm like, look, we're seeing degeneration and decay in younger ages. And people are like, oh, they're always on cell phones and computers. Everybody's raising their hand. Yeah, absolutely. I saw a kid on a cell phone like this. And I'm like, that's affecting that nervous system. It's affecting that spine. It's degenerating the disc faster. Everybody needs to get checked. And that's a message. I didn't even say pain in there. You know what I mean? But that's a motivational message that signs a lot of people up once they hear it.
I'd be curious then is like, are you putting more energy then towards just attracting the right person, I guess you could say, in terms of from the content that you're creating to the conversations that you're having? Is it like just trying to really attract that person that understands the wellness versus just the quick fix?
I would say yes. I don't think that I intentionally worked backwards trying to create that. Like I probably should have created that avatar and then worked backwards. But I think I believe so much in the content that I'm like, here's what you need to know. And I think, when you put that out there into the universe, then the people that are interested in that are going to find it. And it's not to say that all of our new patients are great quality. I think we have pretty good quality new patients. Occasionally we have the people who are just there for, the visit, but we're going to be able to find the gyms that are there for long-term wellness a lot easier when we have that kind of content out there.
So let's say the doctor listening is thinking to themselves, okay, I believe in the retention piece of it. I understand what Corey and Tabor said from the beginning, that it's really the holy grail of a practice, and they want to start implementing in it. What's maybe some of the pitfalls they can avoid, or the mistakes that you ultimately made when you first started doing this that another chiropractor could ultimately avoid? And or also is like, what could they start doing right away just to kind of get started and start making progress on this?
So I think simplicity is the way to go. Like in fact, I say like that's the reason why we created our products, because they're simple to understand. they're easy to use, and they're effective for preventing the things that we want to prevent. The reason I say that is so important is because some doctors just give this, okay, here's 20 specialized exercises. I want you to do 5 times a day. You know what I mean? And if you've got to customize every person's plan and that person has to spend hours doing their exercises at home, it's not going to happen. It's like the toothbrush. You don't got to be, that smart to be able to learn how to use a toothbrush, thank goodness. And it doesn't have to be perfectly fitted to your mouth either, which is a good thing. That means anybody can find it, anybody can use it. And that's what we created with the spinal hygiene movement is these exercises are designed to help the patient maintain alignment, mobility, and strength. Now, there may be more factors to spinal health out there than just those three, but those three things are pretty vital and foundational. If a patient can help maintain their alignment, their mobility, and their strength between their chiropractic offices, their office visits, then they're going to have a healthier spine. And so the 4 core spinal hygiene exercises that we recommend are just to do that alignment, mobility, and then also to strengthen the areas where we see the most degeneration occur. So any chiropractor in the world that takes x-rays or has ever looked at x-rays will tell you we see degeneration happening mostly in the base of the neck, C5, C6, because of head forward postures. And then we see it down low in the low back, L4, L5, because people are sitting for long periods of time and we're not getting imbibition or movement. So those 2 areas, if that's across the board the most commonly degenerative areas, then we need to be giving our patients something to maintain those 2 areas, because that also means those 2 areas are their 2 most subluxated areas and the most commonly subluxated areas. So we need to be checking those areas often. We need to be having our patients maintain those areas and trying to prevent those areas from degenerating. So see, we're just literally, there's no like gimmicks in this. This is actually like a value to your community, what your patient actually needs, what our society actually needs. And when we understand it as a chiropractor and our team understands it and we're passionate about it, that's how we have those people they jump on board with it,
Yeah, I really do love the dentist analogy, because you got me thinking is like, if my dentist also asked me on top of my already brushing and flossing to get in there with a scraper and to do some of the other crazy things that they do with like the water blaster, I would never do it. Like there's no way I would do it. But if you can keep it really simple, like, yeah, I can get on board. 2 minutes or less, that'd be great.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I'd be curious as to how do you train your team, and how do you just like get everybody on board with this? Because obviously this isn't just you, right? This is you and your team and everybody being a part of this and staying on the same page with it. Is there a process of like educating the team and doing regular meetings with them and making sure you're talking about the right things at the front desk, and like, how does that all interplay?
Great question. I teach a program called the Certified Spinal Hygienist, and they go through it used to be 12 hours. It's about 6 hours. I've been able to cut it down to worth of class time. And then they take an exam at the end of it. And I call them, spinal hygienists in our office, just like we would have dental hygienists, right? And so through that training, we talk about the why behind, like we dive way deeper into what every exercise does, why we need those specific exercises. And I won't bore the audience or anything, but it's like after puberty you lose blood flow to the disc. So the only way a disc stays healthy is through movement. It's called imbibition. So it pumps nutrients in and waste materials out. And what are we doing in this culture or society more than ever before? We're sitting. So we're sitting through school. We go to college and sit more. We get a desk job and you sit even more. And so you're getting no imbibition at L4 or L5. So after puberty, when you lose blood flow, those discs just dehydrate and compress if you don't keep them moving. And so what we do with our wobble disc exercise, which is one of our 4 core spinal hygiene exercises, we have that patient move those discs every day to rehydrate those discs. And so as I'm teaching them that, like there was a study one time, they took 2 groups of patients. They give them the exact same home exercises, both groups. One group, they just gave them the exercises and showed them how to do the exercises and told them to do them. The other group, they gave them the exercises and showed them how to do it, but then they showed them why they should do it and what each exercise actually will do for them. And this group, where they learned the reason why they should do the exercises and the benefits of them, were 60% more compliant. because the other people were just, I'm just doing this exercise for no reason, right? And I think it's like that with your team. It's like that with your patients. I love teaching the why behind why you want to take care of your spine and why you want to do those exercises and what each exercise does. Because once they learn the why, they're like, I'm gonna do it.
Are you familiar with Robert Cialdini, the author? Do you know who that?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you read his book Influence, The Seven Influence?
Influence. That's what it was. I was trying to think. I almost said psycho cybernetics, but it's influence.
It's another great book. But he talks about a great study that they did about they had people basically cut in line, and they were basically seeing like how offended or like would somebody actually let them cut in line. And ultimately what they found is that like when they just budge in line, obviously people generally speaking wouldn't let them cut in line or they'd be unhappy. And then they did it again, whereas like they gave them a reason why. It was like, oh, because I'm late for an appointment or whatever it is. And they were like way more likely to actually let them cut in line. But what was crazy about the study was that even if the reason why was completely irrelevant as to like anything to do with time or anything, they're like, oh, I just because my cat died or something like that. It's like something irrelevant to the fact that they just wanted to cut in line, that people were still happier and more willing to let them do so, and also okay with the fact that it cut in line, just because they knew that there was a why or a reason for it. So I just feel like that's just what it made me think of.
No, yeah, I think as humans, we want to know why before we do things. I mean, look at the little kids just learning. I mean, that's their ultimate question. Why? Why? Why?
I still have that problem. That's why I have a podcast show. But tell me why, Tabor. No. So one more question for you. So let's say that a chiropractor wanted to start implementing this. Let's say that they know they've made the mistake now, that they don't have a good retention plan. They don't have any way of really keeping patients around, but they recognize like this is really important for their practice. What's like maybe the very first step or tangible thing that they could do, maybe even like this week, just to get them moving in the right direction?
I think there's a couple of options. Number one, hopefully you have an email list like that. I think is one of the most valuable things I've done since we've started practice. Was I still use Aweber, which nobody uses Aweber, but I started with it like 15 years ago. So all my emails are still on it and I know how to use it. And so I think having that email list, and every time a new patient comes in, they're giving you their email and their intake form, and you use email as an avenue of education. What is that? A vehicle, right, to deliver your education. I think that starting with email and even text message, and I wouldn't use text as much as I use email, but with email you can send them every day, and they're probably not even going to open half of them anyway. So you might as well you could send more, right? Um, I would build something like that, and then I would also start a new patient orientation workshop. I know as a chiropractor, I put that off for years because I just didn't want to spend a night, 30 minutes doing that every once a week. But man, it feels so good after every workshop. Like before the workshop, I'll even like to this day go, dang, I got to do a workshop. But at the end of that workshop, every week, I feel so good. Patients feel so good. I'm like, it just lets me share a little bit of my philosophy with them, and you could do it before they sign up too. I know a lot of people do doctor's reports before they convert to care, right? But I like new patient orientation workshops because there's no sales. That person's already given me their money, and then I'm just there sharing from the heart, and like they can feel that and they can see that, and they leave going, that was a good investment. I'm glad I invested in. And even if it was just, I like this guy, you know what I mean? But they learned a lot during that class because I'm teaching a lot of spinal hygiene in that class. And I think it starts their journey. And then when they get those emails, now they're more likely to open them. I just had a patient today who went through my class, and she's like, I'm on day number 10. I've watched every one. I send a little video with them every day. And she's like, I feel like me and you get to hang out every day. So that's got to help retention, right? And I think building something little like that maybe takes a little bit of energy and effort on the front end, unless you're using some of our stuff. So you can go to spinalhygieneproducts.com and we can show you how to use this stuff and just plug it in where you don't even have to put the energy in. But even if you wanted to spend the time and build that yourself, it's something you could build and you don't have to put much energy into that later because you've already built it.
What's your best patient orientation hack? You know what I mean? Like, do you is it sparkling waters? Is it a good scented candle? What do you do? Like, how do you get people to show up?
Well, to get them to show, we make it quote unquote mandatory. I don't say mandatory. I say it's part of your care recommendation. right? So it's part of your care plan and you've already paid for it, right? Type of a thing. We also use the spinal hygiene kits to lure them there because I'm like, I need you to give you your home care, but I want to make sure I show you how to use it. This kit is yours, and we have these hooks that hang in the waiting room area, and they have hooks on there. And I say, that one's yours. You're going to get it at the workshop on Tuesday night when you come. So they kind of looking forward to that a little bit. And then in the workshop, I think I first take them through the philosophy. Like we talk about how, my mom, personally, my mom passed away at the age of 47. She was taking 21 prescription medications at the time when she passed away. And if prescription medication, I'm not nothing against prescriptions if you're in a crisis and you need them, but if prescriptions made you healthier, my mom would have been one of the healthiest people, right? And then we talk about the nation, right? We are 5% of the entire world's population. We're taking 75% of the world's drugs. If medication made you healthier, don't you think we'd be the healthiest nation? But we're 37th, right? So what I'm here to talk to you about is things that build true health from the inside out. And you have to understand what health is in order to really understand that health is the optimal functioning of the body. Well, what controls the function? The nervous system. Now, so I'm starting there before we're even getting to spinal hygiene. Now you're learning how amazing the body is and that the nervous system is so powerful. Now let's talk about maintaining it for the rest of your life. I don't know. I just feel like that is a powerful workshop that people who didn't understand those concepts in the beginning maybe are starting to get a little bit of a glimpse of them during that workshop.
Yeah, I can only imagine like how much, I don't know if you have any hard numbers behind it, but like how much that just improves general retention. Like getting somebody to show up and to start to learn about the philosophy behind the practice and why they should do it and why it's beneficial. Like I can only imagine it's probably like 1,000-fold. I have no idea what the exact numbers are, but I'd have to guess.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact numbers are either, but I know it's beneficial and and people appreciate it too. I've never had somebody leave upset that they had to sit there and listen to me talk, even though it was 30, 40 minutes long.
Yeah, it also, when you're talking about the kits, it made me think about, I just love the amount of playbooks you pulled out of dentists, how they give you a new toothbrush and floss. And I got a mug last time, or like no, it was actually a thermos. It was way nicer. It was a really nice thermos. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they're always giving their people stuff and teaching them how to. Like my dentist is like, "Are you flossing properly?" No. Let me show you how to floss again. I'm like, I'm 44 years old. You've showed me this 50 times, but she's going to show me how to floss again.
Shockingly, the last time I was at the dentist, they showed me where I was actually doing it wrong with my toothbrush. She goes, "Do you have one of the vibrator ones or like the circular ones?" And I was like, "The circular one." She goes, "Actually, you just want to like put it at this angle and hold it like this." And I was like, "I had no idea. I've been using this thing for like forever."
Yeah, see, so they educate too.
Yeah. Anyways, what's your plug? Where can people find you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so check out our website, spinalhygieneproducts.com. I think there's a link that you can sign up for either our webinar or our newsletter if you want to start, because I do send out emails as well with some content for chiropractors. But you can check out all of our products on spinalhygieneproducts.com. We have a private Facebook group that, I post a lot of our free content and things to. It's called Spinal Hygiene Doctor, if you look it up on Facebook. And I only let chiropractors and their team members in there. So it's just a group of us, and we can kind of, talk back and forth in there.
You have a documentary as well.
That's right. So in 2020, we came out with a chiropractic documentary called A Better Way, and you can actually watch it for free on our website at abetterwaychiropractic.com. It's it was supposed to only be about spinal degeneration and spinal hygiene, and then it took its own development, which I think was even better. And it talks about like the medical system, the flaws in the medical system, why chiropractic is a really clear answer to help the failing medical system that we have today. So yeah, I would love for anybody to check that out.
I watched it. If anybody values their health at all or just curious about American healthcare and prescriptions and things of that nature, definitely highly recommend checking it out. It's a great documentary. So thanks for doing that.